All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Go! Get to the podcast!
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
podcast.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hi there,
Hey,
everyone.
everybody.
This is Jim Carrey.
Oh,
At Get
God.
to the Movie.
I'm
That is
so glad I'm not wearing headphones.
two
right
with
now.
the number 2. Alrighty then.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Today here we
Stop
have a
fucking
special
encouraging
guest
him.
coming on the podcast.
You gonna do Fire Marshal Bill?
Neil's brother's here. He's right here. Right here in this spot. And Get to the Movies. Right here. He's
Are you
sitting
gonna
next to me. I'm
stop,
telling
like,
you, people.
ever?
He's right here.
Hi.
Oh my God, it's
Aaron.
the worst.
How are you now?
I might just walk out. You guys, Aaron's here,
Shaka.
so okay.
That's good. This is good.
No, it's
These
terrible.
some of these
Aaron,
are good.
I think we need to take it down on the Jim Carrey references.
Pick up, Aaron. I can't hear you there, Aaron.
At least
Are you saying something, Aaron? Here at Get to the Movies with the number 2. Aaron,
perhaps,
speak up, please.
Perhaps a Truman Show.
Hello there.
impersonation.
Can we let Aaron
A
talk?
little more
Truman
tame.
Show?
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Get to the Movies. That's Get to the Movies with the number 2. My name is Tiago de Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And I'm Aaron Carson.
And he
Holy
thought I was
shit.
gone.
Oh my
Jim
God.
Carrey here on the spot.
It's
in
got
this
to end.
podcast.
It's got to
Here.
end.
It's just gonna keep going.
It's still here.
So cringy.
It's great.
I'm literally like my skin is peeling off of my skin.
I really want the
Shut
music.
your mouth.
Fucking.
I want the music to start playing, but do you guys add it later?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's put in
okay.
later.
I
You're
was
waiting
all
to
excited
hear it?
for
It's
it.
so sad,
You want to
right?
get
Yeah.
psyched up? We can play it for you. If
I
it's
mean,
gonna
I
get
guess.
you in the mood.
No, it's fine.
Hey, welcome, Aaron.
Thank you.
So,
welcome.
Carson, we got 2 Carsons in the building. This is
Right.
Neil's brother. We've talked
Yeah.
about him. We've name dropped him a few
What?
times.
Wait,
He's-
when did you guys name drop me?
You got to
when
listen to
Neil
the
was
podcast more.
talking
You've been
some shit
shit
about
talked
you.
so many
It
times
was
on this
crazy.
podcast.
How many times?
So many.
Well, it's only because I knew it wasn't gonna listen, so I was like, oh, we can say whatever
he
we
airs
want.
out all his family like
We can
dirty
say whatever we
laundry
want
on this
about
podcast.
most people we know. We're like, they won't.
I have
won't
listened
listen.
to
They'll miss that.
This guy's got like
multiple
pro-Nazi
episodes.
sympathies. and everything.
Until you
He
run
spouts
into
all
them,
types
find
of
out that
shit.
they're talking. They heard everything, and they.
So you listened
just
to multiple
confronted you.
episodes, but have you listened to 158 episodes?
I did not know there were that
Thank you for
many.
coming, Aaron. I'm
Yeah.
glad you're gone now.
We're consistent. We're consistent.
Is a lot.
All right, so today's topic is very interesting because we're talking about movies and we're talking about video games.
So, Aaron, welcome.
Thank you.
You
Oh,
wanted,
thanks
to,
for
find, you
repeating
wanted to
that.
come on this podcast, and you actually picked the topic, which we usually do when we have a special guest. We let them pick the topic.
Yeah, so what had happened was, me and Neil had just watched Sonic the Hedgehog, and I bumped into Nick, and I was like, hey, you should have me on the podcast, and we can talk about Sonic. So, yeah, here I am.
Not desperate at all. Yeah, so
It's only been like 3 years.
I
You
know.
could have gotten me on
you
here.
had
but
an open invitation for 3 years.
You know,
true.
That's like someone. I can't even think of a good analogy for it. It's like when you go to
Noah.
Starbucks every day and you get yourself a drink and you say, "Well, you could have just told me you wanted something." It's like
That's true. Like
Or
I
you
never
could just
specifically
get me
said
something.
come on this date.
That's not a good analogy.
You could
but
just
we
get me
understand what
terrible
you're
analogy.
saying.
but
it was great.
yeah, I'm glad you're here though.
Thank you.
Finally here.
Yeah.
Stop bitching about it. But
So,
let's get into
What do we think about Sonic? Amazing. I loved it.
I
I'll
loved
just
it.
say that.
I loved it. I was genuinely shocked because it's the type of movie that you watch a trailer for and you think like, oh, okay, that's like a nice popcorn film. You know, maybe I probably won't spend any money on it. We ended up taking our nephews to see it, which was perfect. You know what I mean? They're 11 and 15.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, let's go see this movie. We'll all enjoy it together. And both of us were pleasantly surprised at how entertaining it was, I
Yeah.
have to say.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's tweak the topic a little bit. What we're really talking about is Sonic the Hedgehog the best or the greatest video game movie of all time?
Video
Right?
game adaptation.
Thank you, Aaron.
Video game movie. I mean, yeah. What's the difference?
Because I think that there are movies that are like video game themed, like Ready Player One, and we do need to be more clear about what we're talking
Am
about.
I getting semantic right now?
Aaron. Why
Or
just you been on
Wreck-It,
the podcast
Wreck-It Ralph
earlier?
has a lot of video game references. Also, What was that?
Wizard.
I'm personally
Wizard.
sending Aaron.
Wizard with
Wizard.
Fred Savage.
But the
Daily.
Adam
Yep.
Sandler movie?
Yep.
Cubes
Pixels.
or-
Pixels. Yeah,
yeah.
that was good. Okay, so
Plus,
Well,
Tron,
what did you think?
Tron is kind
You're
of video
just dragging
game-like.
this out.
Tron.
This guy hated
Tron.
it. He hated it. I could
Yeah,
tell.
he
hated it.
he didn't love it.
I'm not giving you guys like anything. It's
No.
so
I know,
much
dude.
fun.
We're literally
This guy's
recording
such a
now's
poker
the
face.
time to say something.
I don't know what to say about it.
Well, you haven't seen it.
Well, when you
and we
see
knew
it,
that was
yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm coming
I
to the other
watched
part
it-
of the topic.
So I saw it 2 days ago, and here's what I thought.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny. I loved Jim Carrey in it.
Yeah.
There was some humor. Like, it wasn't even. It was good. Like I was happy with it.
Yeah.
Satisfied. It helps when you're with somebody else and you're both laughing at it. The theater was like empty.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I'm
Oh
sitting
yeah,
there
when
by
we
myself.
saw it, we were the only 4 people. Oh no, there was another. There was like a
was
guy and his daughter.
3 other
and that
people
was it.
in the theater.
I
than
think there was
us.
only 2 other.
I
Well,
mean-
anyway, either way, it was a huge theater, and it was just us. So we could hear our own laughter like echoing off the walls. or
Also,
whatever.
we went to a random theater up near my nephew's house, and there was it was empty because it was like in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
and the theater didn't have any sound when the movie
When the
started.
movie- it was almost
I
like
had
they
to
didn't
go.
think anyone because we showed up
They
right
didn't think anyone would
after it
show up.
started. So
Right.
the trailers were already
So
on. So
I had to
think
go
they just
out-
never turned the audio on
Just turn
because they
the
were like,
audio.
"Well, we'll just let it run." But with
Yeah,
no audio,
I had to
'cause
go
no one
out
was in there.
and get them to turn the sound on, and they seemed annoyed that I brought it to their attention.
Like, you don't read lips, motherfucker.
There were only
It-
2 people working in this theater that had like 20.
No, there
theaters
was
or
there
something.
was a lot of people working there.
Were
They
there?
were all over 30, which didn't make sense. So anyway,
I do.
Well, let me ask you guys this: from the film,
Yeah.
is it a movie that you critically think about, or you just enjoy it?
No, you just
Is it
enjoy
something
it.
that you-
This
you
is-
ha-
You don't go to this
break-
movie
I think
thinking it's
my
gonna be like a
ex-
Scorsese directed masterpiece
No,
that's
no.
gonna stand the test of time. I think it's
No.
although
It's like a comfort film. It's a film you watch when you want to like if you watch something upsetting, you put on Friends, you
Right.
put on Sonic.
Yeah.
But
know
you
what I
think,
mean? It's
but
like
you
that
think
kind of
about
thing.
emotional depth. I mean, there are some moments in the film where you really do feel for the
okay.
characters.
So that's what you had. I think both of you had said that to me when you were talking about the movie.
I thought like it did a good job.
I
of,
thought it
like,
was- I thought it
that
was-
enough. Like,
totally.
yeah.
I didn't feel it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it didn't hit me in the chest or anything.
No
like that,
single
but-
tear?
Not a single. I didn't even well up.
Wow.
But because it's a very formulaic movie.
Oh my
right?
God,
Like,
yeah.
but it was fun. I
But
enjoyed it a lot.
The non sequiturness of Sonic's jokes, like
Yeah.
he's like Jim Carrey shows up with like his drones to like attack Sonic or whatever, and they all have machine guns on him, and then Sonic jumps on one of the drones and he's like, Amazon wants to deliver packages with these things. Like he would just say all these things that like
they were
adults
like
would
Spider-Man
get.
jokes.
Yeah, it was very Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it was like Sonic was so witty.
Yes.
And Jim Carrey was so like non sequitur and ridiculous.
He was
like the guy
nuts.
shows up with that drink and then he's like, I got your coffee, sir. And he's like, yeah, no, I love this coffee the way you make it. And you're like, what the fuck? And then there's
was
like
my
a whole
favorite
dance
scene.
scene where he's like dancing to some like song about him being an evil bad guy or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
that was
Like,
my
that was
favorite
great.
scene.
there's so
When he-
many random things in this movie.
It was really, honestly, Jim Carrey made
just
that
went-
movie.
yeah.
It's sort of like when
He
we
went
saw
all out.
Aladdin and we're like, Will Smith made the movie. Like, Jim Carrey's, I was watching him like, this guy hasn't missed a goddamn beat. He could do
Yeah.
this the whole time. Like,
and
we-
Dr. Robotnik is not a fleshed out character. He's
not
just
really.
the
He's like,
main bad
"Arr," like
guy.
he's just like a dumpy, like, spaz.
Weird mustache.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like Jim Carrey just took it and ran with it. And you got the idea. It's sort of like what he did with Ace Ventura, and The Mask is sort of like he just kind of created the character into what it was. I don't believe it was necessarily as comical or as kind of like outlandish on the page as it
Right.
was when he was on screen.
Yeah.
And he
They
was
just let him roll, I'm sure.
he was just so good.
Yeah.
Like really, there's something about Jim Carrey. He's always been able to do this where he's able to stretch it to the point of like okay, perfect example. Diego's intro was just so obnoxious. But if Jim Carrey were doing that, but if you do an imitation of Jim Carrey, everybody's like, shut the fuck up, please stop, forever, shoot yourself in the face. But like when Jim Carrey does it, you're like, I don't know why, but this is working.
So
Just
that's
want to welcome
that
Nick
is
to the
because
podcast.
that is because Jim Carrey is ingrained in
guy.
our childhood.
I don't
So-
think that's
unique.
why.
I mean, what do you expect?
I
He's
disagree
unique.
because for me, when I think about movies that formed my life, you know what I mean, who I am
Ace
as a
Ventura,
person,
Liar, Liar.
yeah, like these are
So how
integral
do you,
parts.
But then how do you explain all these people, the people who watch that as adults? Those movies weren't just popular with kids
Or children.
Those movies were popular with adults.
Yeah, like
my
I-
dad and I went to see Ace Ventura opening weekend. He had never heard of him. I only knew him as Fire Marshal Bill from In Living Color. I was like, let's go see the new Fire Marshal Bill movie. And my dad
Yeah.
was like,
That's
who the
how-
fuck's
that's
Fire
how I
Marshal Bill?
felt, too.
Yeah,
Fire
and then
Marshal
he
Bill,
saw
yeah.
it, and my dad was losing it the entire movie. it was popular amongst adults. Like Ace Ventura shouldn't work ever. Like in any
He's
universe.
a pet detective. I feel like everyone forgets that he literally investigates pet theft. Like this is like everyone forgets that. They're just
The
like,
reason
oh,
about
this is great
Jim Carrey is that
thriller.
he's unique.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that it's
No.
like Robin Williams. Nobody else can do what he can do.
Yeah.
And Rob
same
Williams
thing
is
with
great.
same thing
There's
with
something about
Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey.
Jim
Yeah.
Carrey can't do the same thing. I mean, other people can't do the same thing that he can. Even if people try to
Imitate.
do his impressions,
He's like,
it gets
"Fuck, I'm getting away from
annoying
that word."
because Jim Carrey is just so unique, and you can't copy that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that carries over to his films, carries over to growing up with him. You
Yeah.
know, every film you remember this iconic role, and you just don't remember everybody like that. There's
But
very few actors that. You
But
can
like Aaron
remember.
was saying, I really don't think it's a we grew up with him kind of a thing.
I think it's a cultural thing for sure. But having said that, the reason that I love Sonic so much, totally aside from Ben Schwartz, who does the voice of Sonic,
Yeah.
because he's just great. But Jim Carrey, it feels like old Jim Carrey, where what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
So all these films that I can, you can just list them off, from the 90s and then even into like the early 2000s of him being just ridiculous and
Yeah.
having these like insane monologues and just these hilarious moments. That's how it feels when you're watching this movie. And he has definitely steered clear of these types of films for a long time.
Oh yeah, probably since
2000.
Well, Yes Man kind of touched on it a little bit.
Well,
Bruce
the-
Almighty a little bit, but Liar is like the last one I know. I remember him
Me,
being
myself,
like
and
this.
Irene.
Yeah, I guess
That's
yeah, I
where
guess.
it really.
That's
I guess that was
kinda-
because he
and
went
I
back, he went back up
love-
with the Fairley Brothers. Who did
I
Dumb and Dumber.
love that movie. I could watch that movie over and
so
over
good.
and
Well, a movie where
over.
Jim Carrey's got a split personality, like you're like I'm all in.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, like I just think about that movie and I smile because
Yeah.
it's so great.
It was.
You're gonna get
The-
two Jim Carreys.
I feel
in
like
one
the movie-
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Jim Carrey was great when they go. This little spoilery, but when they go to towards the end when they're in San
Spoiling
Francisco
Sonic.
and they meet the sister who's trying to like break up the
funny.
relationship,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything she said
Was
was
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
And then the little girl like ties him up, and then he brings in like, and everyone's reaction to Sonic, and like, I don't know, like there's something about like the way everything plays out where you're like expecting failure.
Yeah.
Like I'm expecting them to fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like just do something cringy and
Right.
like hokey, and like I watched the movie and I was like. They it worked. It works.
That
The
is
movie
true.
worked.
It should not
should
have
not
worked.
work.
It
Like
sh-
I was expecting shit.
hard
and it,
to
like
fo-
shouldn't work, and it worked.
Well, the
Yeah.
movie kind of did because they had to go back and remake the characters. So in
But that
the
was
beginning, that
that was
was
a brilliant
very-
marketing. Like I want
Yeah,
to
no,
find out
100%.
20 years from now that was all
All
planned.
scam.
It was,
Well,
we were
there was a
scammed.
whole trailer that was
because-
released with the other Sonic, so there's
That's
no
right,
way
with
it
the
was a
human teeth
scam.
and all that. And
Yeah.
but if they did that with
Human
like,
teeth,
here's
that's
what
all
we'll
he
do,
said.
guys.
Did you see the
We'll
nose?
put this out. We'll put this out, and if there's a negative reaction, we'll say, oh, we're gonna go back and retool it and come back with something better. Which like fans were just like, oh, thank you, like
Yeah.
thank you for listening to us.
You know what
And
I
it
want to
worked.
do? I want to interview the guy that created the old version of Sonic, who's probably
What's
killed
funny- it's
himself.
funny,
at
it
this
was
point.
like
What
they
has
had that
everything
version,
he's
right?
worked on?
Yeah,
Didn't they
it's
do
just-
that? And then they went and contacted Sega and like brought in one of the like the original creators of Sonic or
Oh, I
something
didn't-
to come up with the new Sonic, which is more of what people expect Sonic.
It's
I mean, that-
basically Sonic from the fucking video games. I love it. It's
Yeah.
like people are like, they
It
had to
was like-
create this whole. I'm like, it's fucking Sonic. And
but
all
they
just
didn't. They
made
didn't.
his,
It seemed like they
his
didn't
quills light
consult
up.
like the guy from Sega who
But you know what
worked
else was
on
really
the- or
impressive?
Who's working on the current Sonic games or whatever.
You know what
Which
else
is
was
a
really
weird thing to
impressive
do.
about this game is they did not rely on any of the canon really of Sonic to pull off the film
Because there's not a lot.
there.
Like,
No, I
yeah.
don't think so. I think
I think in the later games there is, but
yeah, like
people are.
they flesh out the story much
I'm a
more
Sonic
in like
spinball guy, so I
in
don't
Sonic Adventure. I mean, they definitely
Don't
build
forget
the
that- yeah,
whole.
they had a
Sonic
cartoon.
Adventure.
Yeah,
Sonic
that
is
is true.
in that game with humans.
know. It's not unlike Mario.
So
like,
for
Mario
They
those
had a
of-
cartoon and everything.
For
so-
those of
yeah.
you who
It's
don't
fleshed
know,
out,
that's right.
oh yeah,
Of course they
And
did,
for
yeah.
those of you who don't know, Sonic Adventure came out on the Dreamcast in circa 1990.
99. It came out September 9th,
99.
1999,
And-
which is
and that-
99.
Hey Neil, what were you
99.
doing September 9th?
Greatest release date ever.
Waiting in line for it.
I know, right?
I was getting a Dreamcast.
Fanboying.
6 years
Yeah,
before I got married.
Fucking
So,
loved my
so
anniversary.
in that game though, it's like a
crazy.
total. It's like a Super Mario 64 version of Sonic. You know what I mean? It's like a
Right.
whole world, and you hadn't seen anything
3D.
like that in the Sonic universe yet. And you know, there's all these new characters and interesting storylines, and you know, they make Robotnik more interesting. Where before he was
Right.
just this crazy maniacal bad guy that you know is in the background. You just have to keep jumping into a ball and hitting him.
But that's
until
what I
he's
loved.
gone.
I
like
love
how
that
they did that in
Jim
the movie.
Carrey, like Sonic would blow up one of Jim Carrey's creations, his drones, and then a smaller one would exit it,
Yeah.
and then a smaller one, and then a smaller one, and it was
Definitely
like exactly
nods
like
to
a game.
the
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
And then the rings, I loved.
Yeah.
Like,
They're
I love
portals.
The portals,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I thought that was great. He has all these rings, and then
yeah, and they easily
nobody's talking about baby Sonic. Everybody's riding that baby Yoda, but like, what about baby,
Baby
Sonic?
Sonic?
In the beginning of the movie,
When he's a
Oh,
kid.
it's a little
Yeah.
baby Sonic running
Yeah.
around.
Don't you
Yeah,
ever
I mean,
talk
it's not
about
Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
It's not Baby Yoda.
It's not Baby Yoda.
Alright,
Here we go.
Leave Baby Yoda
alright.
out
And
of
it's
this.
not even Yoda.
That was so
this
rude.
Is actually baby
Nobody puts
Sonic.
baby in the
this
corner.
Is just the
That was
creature
so
or
rude,
the
Neil.
child. The
You need a
child.
timeout.
50-year-old child.
He's like, yeah. He's
All right,
old.
so how does it compare
To other-
to other films?
So okay, let me.
Nick's
So
gonna talk
I
again.
think Jim Carrey. Okay, for me, the movie Jim Carrey makes the movie. I think Sonic's great.
James Marsden was
Marsden's
solid.
great. Everybody's solid.
Yeah.
But Jim Carrey's what elevates it beyond just like, oh, that was a fun movie. You know what I mean? Like if you watch. I thought Sonic was fun and great and everything, but it's like what I would expect. I don't know how you would really.
You remember the
make
chili
that
dog
anything-
scene?
The what?
The chili dog. He's like, "Oh, what'd
Yeah.
you eat?" He's like, "Oh, it's those
Better
chili
check your
dogs."
fur on that one.
Are you gonna do random spoilers?
better check your
throughout the
fur,
podcast?
buddy.
There's no random spoilers, but there's so many like laugh out loud things that you wouldn't expect in this
Yeah, but how
movie.
does it compare to other video game movies?
Okay.
Adaptations.
Can I finish saying things about
No.
Sonic
And then
real
Green
quick?
Hills,
Because there's like other.
they play that
things.
music.
Oh, Nick
at
has
the
other
end.
points he wants to bring up.
Well, I noted
Really?
these as I was watching the movie, right? It's gonna happen. So that scene where what does he goes? I was breastfed, and he goes, yeah, rub that in my orphan face. Like that scene, that probably made me laugh more than anything else in the whole movie. And Jim Carrey, those were the scenes that literally I was like, I could watch a whole movie of just him as Robotnik.
Right.
Like just insane, like an origin story of him.
Yeah.
Like he's so egomaniacal, he's so into himself to the point where he's lost his fucking mind and he's like definitely on the spectrum somewhere. There's something going on with the guy.
I love
that's,
the,
that you never really
the
like,
henchman, the henchman guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get to the Movies. Today's topic is the breakdown of Sonic.
That's
Yeah.
basically what
We're
we're talking
changing
about. This
basically,
point.
I
Okay,
know.
fine,
Like,
fine. We'll compare another movie.
What are we talking about?
All right, fine.
Compare it.
Hold
Let's
on,
compare it.
one more thing I need
No,
to bring
there's
up.
not going to be one because it's going to come back around. Use it for like 5 minutes from now.
Well, no, this is makes sense to what Nick's
doesn't
saying.
work.
You
Because
can't
you're-
control these
I
guys.
agree
No,
about Jim
I
Carrey
don't.
100%, but I think the combination of the writing for Sonic was great, and then Jim Carrey was incredible. But there's little moments like when Sonic does the what's like the guy from X-Men from the guy from X-Men Apocalypse where he would like.
Oh,
pause
Quicksilver,
and then
Quicksilver, yeah,
All
yeah.
those there's Quicksilver moments
Yes.
in this movie where
the
Sonic
bar, in
just
the bar.
like goes into speed mode or whatever, and then everyone's just frozen, and he's
Yeah.
like adjusting everything and changing everything, and it's great. I
It
love
is
that
great.
shit.
Let me
It's
ask-
not
let me
original
ask-
because it was
let
done
me
in
ask
2
you guys
movies
this.
with Quicksilver, and you're just
Yeah.
like, I'm watching a Quicksilver scene. That's
But
like the
Sonic would be able to do that.
This is why I meant the movie's
that,
formulaic.
With that, bringing up
Yeah.
Sonic, that Sonic seems like he was just as important as Jim Carrey. How
Yeah.
did it compare to a recent film like Detective Pikachu?
Oh, I
see that.
loved Detective Pikachu.
So how-
Which
I
one's
haven't
better,
seen it.
Detective Pikachu or Sonic?
So it's hard to say, and it really comes down to how much you like that genre, right?
Right.
So you have the people, the fanboys of Sonic. Obviously, we all are. So we
Yeah.
enjoyed Sonic, right? But I was, I played Pokemon last night, right? So
This guy bought the
I
newest
really
Pokemon.
being honest,
Yeah.
I have a guy that works here, a colleague.
Uh-huh.
Literally for lunch, he tries to find Pokemons with Pokemon.
Pokemon
what he
Go.
does.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So Pokemon Go.
It's
Anyway,
not.
we could go into a whole nother tangent with that, but in terms of Detective Pikachu as a film, it definitely is a really fun movie. It's entertaining. You won't get it if you have not played Pokemon in terms of like the references of the different Pokemon characters and stuff like that. And then the other thing that's really interesting about the movie is it just Ryan Reynolds does such a great job of carrying the movie because
Yeah.
you need that big star, kind of like clout to
Right.
keep it interesting.
right. But Sonic didn't use a big star.
That's not true. Jim Carrey, James Marsden, they're
I'm
both
talking
big.
about for Sonic himself.
Yeah, but they kind of did the opposite with
Right.
Detective Pikachu because Ryan Reynolds' character is the only one who is a human you know what I mean,
Right.
voicing one of the Pokemon. The rest of them are just repeating their name over and over again, right?
Right.
So it's like all the other Pikachus just say Pikachu, Pikachu.
I've never played the game, so when I saw the trailer, I was like, I feel like none of this means anything to me. So maybe I'll watch the
trailer
movie,
did
but
look
I'm like,
decent.
I don't understand.
I saw
the
it,
universe
and it was
of the
really
world,
good. It was
or-
really good. It was
It's a fun movie.
film. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a fun film.
and
Yeah.
it's especially fun if you know the storyline of Pokemon,
Right.
You know what I mean, from the beginning,
Yeah.
which it's like, you know, they from the very first scene of the movie
Right.
bring in Mewtwo, which is this character that was like the most unattainable Pokemon and the most powerful Pokemon
Right.
in the original game. And so, you know, you see this character, you know, in this like amazing CG form.
Breakout, yeah.
And you're just like, ooh, I got chills. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, this is going to be a good movie. And
Yeah.
so, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. But it has a twist, which I won't ruin for you guys. I mean, it won't really matter because.
Did you see it?
No, I did. Well, you know how I feel about Pokemon.
No, you
said
did?
it. It was for kids that smell like shit and wear oversized T-shirts. But
He did say that to
not
me last week.
I did. I'm not a big Pokemon was always so fucking nerdy to me. I was like,
say,
get out of my face. With
I
that
will
shit.
say when I
But-
was like I don't know 8 or 9, 7 or 8. The video game dropped and the TV show dropped
You're
and the card
slightly
game
younger than me,
dropped.
right? Yeah,
just
so-
a little bit.
But it makes a difference. I think it's a little.
Sure, it does. It's because you grew up in New York and
I'm
you're a
just
little bit of
saying.
an asshole. I mean, let's be honest.
That's true.
The
I'm a
people
Sega
that-
kid too.
Yeah.
The people that play Pokemon
An
are the guy,
asshole,
people
yeah.
that had those little like those little keychain devices that were alive, and you had to keep pressing a button every day.
Like
to
the
keep,
Gigapets
feed
or
them and
like
Those-
yeah,
those are like the
Takamachi.
Taka-
Taka-
It feels like if we're
To-
mispronouncing
Togepi.
this,
Togepi. It's
Takamochi?
Togepi.
Is it racist that
Is
we
it
can't pronounce
Takamochi?
it?
It's Togepi.
Well, let me
There's
ask
been
you.
multiple versions.
Well, let me ask you guys
That's
this.
what's
Yeah.
crazy.
How did Sonic compare to one of the most memorable
Resident
video
Evil.
game-
How about that? Resident
No,
Evil.
not Resident
Mortal
Evil.
Kombat.
Yeah, what is
One of
your
the most memorable
Remember?
video game
Memorable?
adaptation.
Try it again.
Memorable, thank you.
Try it.
Adaptation.
Which was Spider-Man.
But Spider-Man's not a video game adaptation.
It's a
Spider-
comic book.
It was from
No.
no.
Nope.
No,
but
no.
but we
It's
could we could compare it to so
Tomb
we've
Raider.
got
Let's
Prince
say
of
Tomb
Persia.
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia.
Tomb Raider is probably one of the more
The
successful.
only
I didn't
reason I
like
said
Tomb Raider
Spider-Man
movies.
is because they made it after the game was so successful, and it was both done by
Which
It
one are
was-
you talking about?
It
Which
was all
Spider-Man movie are you talking
pre
about?
Which game?
Marvel.
Are you talking about Into the Spider-Man?
the
Which one are you-
PlayStation. The very first Spider-Man with
With Tobey Maguire?
Tom McCry. Yeah, it came right
Yeah,
after.
this was
the
all
year-
Yeah, but
before
they-
the
he
Marvel
was
Universe
established as a
stuff.
This is all
40-year
before, yeah, that's what I'm
successful
saying.
comic book character. I don't
Yeah.
think it had anything to do with the video game.
I'm pretty
No,
sure.
you're out of
Well,
you're out of your element.
that
Johnny.
may
You're
have
outta
no.
here.
It may have like spurred them to make the film, but
encouragement,
Wait,
man.
what
I'm
came
just
first?
letting him feel
X-Men
good about
came
himself.
first.
Humor him.
X-Men came first.
Whether
right?
it did or not, it
X-Men
came
came
after
first,
a
yeah.
huge
Okay.
hype from the video game because it was so successful. Both Sony did it, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a thoughtful process to say, "Hey, the game was successful. Why don't
Yeah.
we try to make?"
Yeah.
this
But even
fine.
with this most
So-
recent Spider-Man
Flick you off,
game,
Nick.
but even with this most recent Spider-Man game, which was just huge and Game of the Year, super successful, it has no affiliation
Well,
with any
now
of the
it's
movies.
different because it wasn't Sony.
Now they do the video
it was
games based
Sony
off the
sold it
movies.
to
Now
Marvel.
no one has any
Yeah,
rights
but
to
even
anything
the
anymore.
animated one,
Marvel's
the animated
eating
Spider-Man
everything up.
isn't
Disney.
connected to the film. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying, it could have been okay. The game was successful, so
I like
Sony-
how he successfully derailed
I
Diego,
know,
who
he
was
de-
trying to
he
get things
derailed
on the
me.
rails.
I
Oh, this is
derailed you.
fun.
When?
Because you started talking about Spider-Man, and now I'm all jazzed about
You
Spider-Man.
guys are spending
Okay,
10
No,
minutes.
he played the
You know,
Spider-Man
we're
on
talking
PS4. He
we
bought a
talked
PS4
15
last
minutes
year.
about Sonic. We
Okay.
talked 10 minutes about Sonic.
Okay, all right.
and Pikachu.
Here's what I think. I
So-
think Sonic's in the top 5 video game adaptions.
Well, so
Adaptations.
What are the other
Don't
four?
fuck with me on adaptation shit.
Adaptions.
Aaron's
adaptations.
like your
What are your other four?
English
I like
teacher
this,
in this podcast
question,
right now.
'cause
Yeah.
I want to
This is
know
great.
what other. 'cause
Okay, here's my favorite ones. I'm
I
going
don't.
to name
I
them.
wouldn't
Can I
consider
list
it
them?
my favorite adaptation.
You know, list
There's
all
a-
the video.
There's not that many, actually.
It's surprisingly only like
No, no,
30, but
don't-
that's a long list.
Don't list all of them.
It's
'cause-
No, it's
Prince of
actually.
Persia, one of
I think
yours.
it would be helpful because then it will kind of inspire you guys to think about some of them.
Well,
Okay.
I have the list. Yeah. What are your top 5?
I
Oh,
love
I
this
have
is-
to- I have
you
to
guys
limit
are
it to
brothers, so
5?
there's like no
Yeah.
social veneer on this at all. Like you
Because
guys
we're
are
gonna
like,
derail on each one. We're gonna like
Talk
if you
about
start
it.
listing each one, then it's like
I mean, if I think about like whether or not it was a good movie versus whether or not I enjoyed it, because my favorite film, and Nick, criticizes me about this all the time. Anytime it comes up, my favorite film ever is Batman Returns.
I don't criticize it.
And-
That was a great video game. It was.
I like the video game for
Yeah, on
SNES.
Sega. Sega Genesis.
The Sega version's
moving
garbage.
right along. And so, there's a difference between a good movie and a movie that you love because it's nostalgic. You know what I mean? So I loved the original Tomb Raider, but not as much as I liked the sequel, The Cradle of Life
I said the
movie.
same thing.
Right.
And, I loved Resident Evil, the very first one.
Yep.
So all of the sequels after that, I
What
was
about
pretty...
Paul W.S. Anderson's first video game adaptation.
Mortal Kombat. That's my number one. That's still my number one, even though it doesn't hold up as well as when I originally saw
It
it.
really doesn't. I tried to watch it recently.
Yeah.
It's
And
still
I-
good.
It is still
have
good. You
to
have to forgive
also-
the CG stuff that and some of the stilted
And like the
acting.
choreography is so much better now than it was back then in Hollywood. It was like,
But just
come on.
think about when
How
you
about-
originally
that was
saw
amazing
that. Did you
choreography.
see that when it originally came out?
I
Mark
liked,
Wahlberg.
Max Payne. I
I-
enjoyed that
I
movie.
did not care for
also
that
played
movie.
the game, so maybe that's why I liked it more.
That helps.
Ooh, let's talk about Doom for a second. Remember Doom?
I enjoyed Doom
With,
The
Carl
Rock.
Urban
There's
and The
something
Rock.
about that film
That you
that has
enjoy.
made me go back and watch it again.
It's
Yeah.
disturbing.
It's really weird.
Yeah, and it
Maybe
has
it's
what's
just
her name?
The Rock seems so off.
the
Dwayne-
chick from the James Bond movie.
Yeah,
She played the Bond girl.
Oh, yeah,
Rosamund Pike.
Rosamund,
Pike,
Which
yeah.
is crazy that she's in this movie.
Jack Reacher
You're
as
like,
well.
how
Right.
did she get in this?
Because she was dried up. She hadn't gotten her Gone Girl money yet.
Wow.
I'm just saying that's what happened.
true,
When
yeah.
actors don't go for a spell without making a good movie, they do movies like Doom.
Yeah,
Somebody
and they
give
probably
me a
filmed it over
job,
in like London and
It made
studio over there, and
$55
she lived
million
down the street or something.
That's
Doom
great.
did.
Yeah.
Well, it's got that
I,
rock.
I think it's still getting some of that money because I've watched
So,
it again twice.
You know what? I actually, sorry, I just saw this and I thought about this. Silent Hill was probably my favorite video game movie
was disappointed.
adaptation.
I was
I
going to
think so?
say.
I did.
So I
because
played-
I was a big Silent Hill fan.
Uh-huh.
But how
of the
many of
game.
them did you play?
I played all of them. I loved Silent Hill.
Like all?
I still have on my PlayStation when they came out with that demo
Yeah.
that they took off. It's still there. Only the people that had
Oh,
downloaded
the
have it.
PT Dream
Right,
or
right,
something like
right.
that, or PT Demo
Right.
or something like that.
I tell you one with Silent Hill, one that a lot of people don't like and I do like, which is Wing Commander.
Oh yeah, no, it was
With
awful
Freddie
movie.
Prinze.
I don't know why, but I can rewatch that movie anytime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Could
we
be
don't
a
know why
nostalgia
either.
Thing.
But
nostalgia thing.
yeah,
Here-
it must be because
More-
that was a really bad
You
movie.
saw it when you were younger.
No, it wasn't a great movie at all. I'm not saying, but I
But
can
why is it
rewatch
that they can't
Yeah.
make a just completely great cinematic classic
because
video game
Hollywood
movie yet?
considers video games like not serious.
I don't think so at this
I think-
point. No,
at
this point
now,
now
no,
it's different.
Well,
And
well, let's do-
it's
Video
Well,
game
even with
industry
that,
on the
they
verge.
just recently made Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed, and that was not successful. They spent a lot of money on that.
And
film.
they said, like,
That movie
Oscar.
was
No,
not-
it
Oscar
made
nominated
$240 million.
actor,
Michael
Fassbender.
Did it?
Yeah.
$240 million. It didn't do as well as Warcraft, which I didn't think was. It wasn't
well,
a bad
World of
movie.
Warcraft is just like in terms of
Yeah, but-
fandom.
but-
people lost
Did
their
you watch
fucking
that movie?
brains. Yeah,
I
did.
enjoyed it.
fucking
Okay.
I thought it
All
was
right.
solid.
It made $440 million.
Yeah, it was a fine movie, but that's the thing. All the movies are fine in the video game adaptation world. Like they're just not. Nobody has gone.
They're not James Cameron.
Yeah, but I'll tell you two movies that in my mind, yeah, it's true. The two movies in my mind that sort of like went away or created their own thing, and it was because they were early on in the video game making world, which was, believe it or not, Super Mario Brothers is a wacky fucking film that doesn't necessarily
The very first video
that?
game movie
the
adaptation.
very first, but also that movie is like nothing like even the video game. Like really,
No.
it borrows from the world, but they had to make up a lot of shit, so it's really like an acid trip of a movie.
Oh yeah.
That and Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat didn't have a lot of lore behind it at
Right.
the point when that movie came out. There
And
was
the-
some, but it was like
It was like the first game, maybe the second.
it came
game
right after
had
second.
released.
Yeah, because Shao
Yeah.
Kahn was in at the end of the movie, and he was
Right.
only in the second one, or started in the second one. But
So real quick, I want to talk about the movies that are coming out. These are the ones that are scheduled to come out that are based on video games. Monster Hunter, September 4th,
Right.
2020. A new Mortal Kombat film. So they're doing a
Right.
whole
But
reboot.
some of these are like just CG movies straight out of some studio.
No,
and-
these
and
are
like,
feature length
films.
films.
live
No, they're
action?
huge.
These are
Yeah,
live
they're-
action
these are
feature
huge.
length films.
okay.
Uncharted. They're
Uncharted,
finally making
With
an Uncharted
Tom
movie.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy, right?
No, Tom Holland?
Holland.
Tim Holland?
What?
John Holland?
Tom Holland is playing
the
Drake?
director of Child's
Who's
Play.
the spider? Who's Spider Dude?
Tom
That
Holland.
crappy Marvel movie. Tom Holland. Yeah.
Crappy Mark.
He's playing the guy from
I
Uncharted.
still haven't seen.
I'm so
Far
As of
From
right now,
Home.
that's
Is that the
it's,
new
it's
one?
really interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I'm
What was
not
the
a
one
fan.
before?
With Jake
Okay,
Gyllenhaal.
okay.
It might be a
Homecoming.
young version, or I don't
It's
know.
going to be
Okay.
bad. Okay, so then Tomb Raider 2. So this is the sequel to the Alicia Vikander version.
Oh, they are doing a sequel to that?
Yes.
I enjoyed that movie.
Uh,
Even though
it
it's
was-
based on the rebooted video game.
You know what it
but
felt like?
not-
That movie. Hold on, I'm now he's distracting me again. But it felt like how much pain can we put this beautiful
That's-
woman in?
that's how the
over
game
the
is.
course of
The game
2
is literally
hours
about her
without
going
the
through-
audience being so disgusted that
Right.
they just walk out on this movie.
Dude,
and that's how I felt watching
in the first, in that game, Tomb Raider, that came out in 2009, something
The
like
movie?
that. The reboot game.
The
There was
reboot
a
game.
reboot
Lara Croft
game
is just-
called-
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
That
just
sounds
called
right.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
That game, you play through that game, like the whole game, she's getting her ass whooped,
Yeah.
and like there's like weird, like you have to fight dudes off type thing
Oof.
in the jungle and then murder them, and she like kills. She's like 18 or 19 or something, and she like kills her first person ever. So it's like this whole origin story, but it's a reboot of the character, like
Okay.
how she became
Right.
Is
a
different.
badass, like, and all this crazy. So there's a lot of like drama and
Right.
So
feelings and
moving
stuff.
on, Minecraft is coming out.
No, that got canceled. Didn't
I
it
don't.
get
The
canceled?
movie didn't get
No.
canceled, but Rob McElhenney is no longer directing it.
Right.
Okay.
Mac from It's
And
Always
then
Sunny.
and then Werewolves Within. I've never heard of that game, but
It's a
there you
Telltale
go.
game.
And then there's Metal Gear Solid, Mega Man, Just Dance, another
Just Dance.
Detective Pikachu movie. They're making a sequel.
Ridiculous.
It's a dance.
Guitar
Crazy.
Hero the movie, like it's gonna have Adam
That's-
Sandler in Guitar Hero the movie.
If they
Like,
did it-
I would not be.
They should
surprised.
get Adam Sandler for that.
You know what? I have the ultimate video game movie that's a classic and amazing, but it's not technically a video, but it's a video game movie. It's just not a video game adaptation. Which
Sure,
is, or
adaptation.
You fuck.
You'll get there.
Anyways, you know what? You need to
Just
slap
give
It's
it
a
a
good
minute.
movie adaptation with Nicolas Cage.
it's yeah, okay. So that's a good movie, by the way.
Isn't that what it's
It's
called?
adaptation, goddammit.
Oh,
What is this?
adaptation?
Adaptation. You make
Adaptation.
It is.
Adapt.
I think it's just.
When you adapt to something.
no, it is adaptation.
Do you adapt?
You got me all fucked up.
Or
Aaron.
you
All right,
adapt.
so
Continue.
name that movie, Nick.
Adaptation.
Okay. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where
Great.
it's based off a graphic novel, but it's a total video game-esque movie.
Well,
But it's
because
based
it's like
on
an it's like an
adaptation.
ode.
It's not.
It's an
Right.
ode.
It's not an
to-
adaptation, but it's literally like the whole thing's like a video game. Now, if they had, let's say that had borrowed from like an actual video game, but like we brought somebody like Edgar Wright who directed that, who's never directed a bad movie up until now. If
Up
you
until
had
now?
he might fuck up in the future, but
Oh,
right
okay.
now, up until this point, he's.
I
still
thought you
not
were
made-
saying his last movie was bad, and I
No,
was like, Baby Driver was great. Yeah, I was confused.
But I'm saying you bring somebody in like that to adapt like some I don't know what the fuck video game you do, but Scott Pilgrim versus the World is incredible,
Yeah.
and the graphic novel is based off it is like okay.
Yeah.
If you read it,
Well-
you watch it, you're like, oh, this is fine. But like that movie is working on levels. It's a classic. It's
so
creative.
good.
It's
so good.
It's insane. But like
It is
they
really,
could
really,
do
really,
that
really
with a
good.
video game. Like they could adapt a video game into a crazy batshit creative movie
I
like
think
that. But
that's-
somebody hasn't.
I feel like
done that.
Sonic was kind of doing that, but it's like
But
this
it's
is the first time
formulaic, whereas Scott
director
Pilgrim
first-
is like doing other shit. That's
But
not.
this-
So-
but
so-
like
One of the
trophy.
highest rated films right now that's an adaptation is Angry Birds.
I've never seen Angry Birds.
Yeah,
I know that
it's-
was a CG movie.
yeah,
right?
it's.
It's an adaptation.
But that's what
of
I'm
a
saying.
game.
It's sort of like every movie's just
But
sort of like
it's
not-
really high there. Like the second one has a
That's like the
73%.
Emoji movie or something.
Nobody's
Yeah.
done like the thing they've done
Well,
in
that's
the
not
in
a
the
video
comic
game,
book
man.
world where like Logan gets
I
adapted.
look at Angry Birds as like not a real
Oscar-nominated
game because
world
it's
at the
on
same
your
time.
cell phone.
yeah.
But it's a
Angry
game.
Birds isn't a real game. It's
But
like
that's
a cell phone
that's my
game, which
point.
is like
You
garbage.
have-
poop
well,
on
here's
the
the
floor or
thing.
whatever,
You have
know
all
what I mean?
these in-depth
Cell phone
games.
game.
You have
not
all
real.
these in-depth games
Right?
that you do an adaptation of, but the one that really has
The
nothing
one
to
that's
it, which
super
is
successful.
Angry Bird,
Yeah. Well, but it's
became
because it's
one of the most successful video game adaptations.
Okay, I have three
You can
things I want to
create
say
whatever
before I
you want.
forget because I can feel it. I can feel the dementia setting in.
you're gonna-
So
you're gonna forget no matter
I want to acknowledge Diego for saying adaptation correctly. Two,
It's so frustrating.
I want to say, and now I'm forgetting what I was going to say. It's terrible. Oh, so
That
we were
ego
talking
got ya.
about specifically this like book to movie kind of like translation, right? Because you were talking about Scott Pilgrim, which is a graphic
Yes.
novel.
Yes.
Then being
book,
made.
Oh, book two,
I
yeah.
assumed
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the graphic
But-
novel,
but-
all that video game stuff is in the
Can
book.
I just Neil,
Yes.
Okay.
Park it? Okay, this guy.
Are you losing?
So,
Is it leaving?
so in regards to Scott Pilgrim, so Edgar Wright actually worked really hard and had to get permission from the creator of the original Zelda game
Yes.
to use that intro music when it's like going into the house.
Oh, interesting.
It's the
And,
Zel-
and it's like,
Legend of
and
Zelda.
the moments where he like gets a heart back and it makes that sound. It's a direct ode to Zelda and the Legend of Zelda for Nintendo. And that was
coin-
something that
the coin
Edgar Wright
noise.
was super passionate about. And then you look at a film like Jojo Rabbit, which is based on a book. I
Yes.
understand.
Yes, it is.
But of course, Taika Waititi kind of took his own
Totally.
direction with it, but it made it so great. And that's a kind of movie that I want to see. You know what I mean? I want to see someone make a video game movie as passionate about it as you know what I mean?
That's
The
exactly
Edgar
what I'm
Wright
saying.
or
Yeah, like they take it and they make it their
like
own
Taika
thing.
Waititi. If he took on one of our beloved video game childhood, like if he made a Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh my God! Like yeah,
it would be so great.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But
Because
I
like
think-
Taika
I mean,
Waititi,
but
like
here's
what
the
he
thing.
did with Thor
You and
Ragnarok.
I actually
like,
play
Oh my God.
video
Just broke
games
the mold.
now.
Oh, yeah.
These guys don't play video games now. These
I
guys
do.
are holding
I
on
just
to those
finished
20
Star
years
Wars.
ago video games.
I'm sorry, Loser says what?
Have you played?
No,
have you
listen,
played
I got shit to do.
Bioshock?
I just played Jedi
Bioshock?
Fallen Order.
This is
You
the
know-
guy who does
you
a
played-
checklist to be an adult.
Have you played Bioshock?
you know,
That's the checklist.
you know.
Because
Doesn't
Check
tie his
list.
own shoes.
Cannot
Check.
leave my time
Gore
like
Check.
Verbinski, one of the things that I was super excited about, Gore Verbinski, who directed Pirates of the Caribbean, The Ring, tons of movies, great director, was going to do an adaptation of Bioshock, and then the whole fucking thing fell through. It was like one of the most
Yeah,
disappointing.
but
You know the
Halo-
one that
Halo
fell through
was
that-
gonna be
you know the one that fell through
amazing,
that I'm
and
upset
that fell
about is
through.
Half-Life.
Neil Blomkamp was going to direct
Half-Life?
a Halo
Oh my
movie.
God, that
fell
would be such a
through.
great
That was-
movie.
but here's the thing: nobody.
Oh my
like,
God, Half-Life would be. An
I don't
amazing
think
movie.
Warcraft was as bad as people said it was.
I don't think so,
I
yeah.
kind of
I was
enjoyed it.
entertained.
I didn't expect much from it.
Yeah.
But I don't. How much money they spend to make that? I don't think people are going into these films expecting it to not do well or not to become a blockbuster hit.
Right.
You know, I think they really expected World of Warcraft to be something like Avatar because they spent a lot
World
of
building.
money
Yeah.
Well,
because they did a lot of world building. They did a lot.
yeah.
to-
you
Well,
can
'cause
usually
Warcraft
tell.
is
film,
huge,
but it
first
just
off, so
didn't
they- yeah.
grab.
Like
So
Tomb
why-
Raider
So it's
didn't
hard
have-
to say what's gonna grab and what's not gonna grab
But-
because, like I said, Angry Bird really has no content.
Well, I don't think
And-
that
and
new
it
Tomb
did-
Raider film had the same budget as like Cradle of Life. I think Cradle of Life
Right.
had a much bigger budget than
Yeah.
the new
Well, they
Tomb. 'Cause
also had-
this is like a reboot with a new chick who's an Oscar winner.
Right.
You know, there's like some really good acting in that movie, and it's it's an entertaining story.
Right.
But
But Assassin's Creed did the same thing, and it just
Assassin's
they
Creed
need
is a
to tap-
fascinating story. I don't
It
know why
is.
that movie
Yeah.
didn't do well. Like the
Name
story
name
of the,
one
of the thing.
director, like great director who's directed a video game movie that you can name. The only person I could even name who's directed any video game movie is Paul W.S. Anderson, right? Is there anybody else?
Oh,
you think
the
of?
guy. Well, I know that the guy who directed Silent Hill, which is why I like Silent Hill
Yeah.
so much, was the guy who directed. I don't remember his name. He's a French director. He did Brotherhood of the Wolf. I don't know if
Okay,
you ever saw that,
but you don't know who it
great
is.
movie.
I'm not saying that you
Right.
need to know them in order, but I'm saying there's people like established phenomenal. There's a reason why people know their names is because
Yeah.
they are fantastic directors. You're Edgar Wrights, right? You're Taika Waititi's at this point. I feel like
feel
we
like
need an inspired
I
choice
want
like
the
that to take
director
a video
of
game
Event
and adapt
Horizon
it.
to do a Silent Hill film.
Yeah. Well, he did like 3 of the Resident Evil movies. I think he did the first one. He did.
First.
Oh, maybe they just did the first and the last.
No,
I don't
I
know.
know
First
that
was-
he
I
did
thought-
the last one. That
of
just,
what? Of Resident Evil?
Resident Evil. There's
I
like
thought Paul
6
W.
of
San-
them.
No, Paul W. Sanderson did the first one.
He did the first. He directed the first, and he directed, I believe, the last one, which is 6.
Wait,
or
did he also do
5.
Silent Hill?
He did not do Silent Hill. No.
Oh, then what-
Silent Hill was a different director.
Oh, okay.
But
All
he
right.
said he wants because they did come out with a second Silent Hill film, which for some reason
They
is
did.
not on this
Yeah.
list, Aaron.
No, it is on my list.
It is.
But
it is
it's
on
on
the
there.
list.
But anyway,
Yeah.
Sonic,
Which has Jon Snow.
right. So I
Everyone
would put,
should watch it. It's a weird movie.
So I would
Get
put
out of
Sonic
here.
in the top 5 of video game movie, but unfortunately, that's not a very robust, like high caliber
I
list.
know.
That's the problem. But Sonic was a lot of fun.
But you haven't
and it
seen
shouldn't have
Detective
worked.
Pikachu.
I haven't. And I bet I would put that up there.
I'm
It looks
surprised
like a
you
better
haven't
quality.
seen that.
Well, again, it was just
'Cause it's
there's
very
a lot of
witty.
movies to watch. and
Silent Hill
that's
Revelation.
Pokemon. It's, not
It's
my
under
thing.
It's very
Resident Evil
witty. You should watch it.
Retribution.
You'll like it.
yeah, that Silent Hill Revelations was, I believe, loosely based on the 3rd Silent Hill.
So it came out Resident Evil Retribution, which I think was the 5th in the
Is that
series.
the last one?
No.
No.
Afterlife?
Afterlife is the last one, I think.
No,
Which is
Afterlife was
solid.
before that.
It has some crazy twists in it, man.
Oh
Have
no,
you
it
watched
was
all
the
the
last
Resident Evil
one.
movies?
Retribution
Oh
was
my
the
God.
last one. Okay, so
need to
Resident
watch
Evil
them.
Retribution came out a month later. Silent Hill Revelation came out, and I think that kind of put a damper on the film. You know what I mean? Like people were kind of like, "All right, you're just riding the coattails of this other movie, this other video game movie with a name that starts with an R." You know what I mean? It's just like I don't know.
The
Do you guys
problem, I would say the biggest problem with video game adaptations is a video game can be a 20,
We're so centered
30,
on that word today.
40-hour experience.
His fault.
Adaptation, yeah.
I looked it up.
It's like
and
the
it's-
key word to say
Adaption.
before you say something at this point.
Yeah. I think it's like if you took a game like I don't know, like an RPG or something like that, or like an
Shadowrun.
Elder Scrolls game that could be 100-hour game with 100 hours with storytelling in the game. Like there's stories that you're playing out.
Right.
How do you turn that into a 2-hour movie?
But
Final
also,
Fantasy.
some
Like,
some
Legend of
video
Zelda
games.
But they
game
did
might
with Final
take you
Fantasy.
30 hours to beat. How do you take 30 hours
But Neil,
of content
some
of story
movie
and then
or some
shrink it
video
down to
games
an
just won't
entertaining
work as a
2-hour
movie. Like if they made Legend of Zelda into a movie, it just wouldn't work. They
It would
can't.
be like
they're making,
Warcraft, honestly.
they're
It's
making
it's
a
also
Netflix
just a world
series.
you don't
There's
necessarily
a live
get
action
right.
series
But, like,
coming
it's
to
not-
Netflix.
There's a live action
There's a
series,
live
but it's a
action
series,
series.
not a film.
I feel very uncomfortable about it because I am
No, bring
a
the Altered
huge,
Carbon guys in. Have them do the Legend
I don't
of
know.
Zelda
I'm a
adaptation.
huge
I'll be into it.
Legend of Zelda fan, and I just feel
I'm
like
not. Some
I just
rated,
feel like you
rated
get
M
these-
for mature.
Okay.
Legend of
Agree to
Zelda.
It's
disagree.
pronounced Zelda, by the way.
wow,
Zelda.
wow.
Did he just say that?
Go back to
That's
New York.
Blasphemous.
Go back
That's
to New York.
blasphemous.
So, do you guys feel that because movies that have come from video games, they haven't done well, this is part of why people don't get excited to go see them?
I think so.
It doesn't have the
Well,
vibe.
because they're notoriously bad.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
no
yeah,
one
but
cracked
Sonic
it.
actually wasn't a bad film
Well,
from what I hear.
Detective Pikachu,
Detective Pikachu
Sonic,
wasn't- yeah,
Resident
those were-
Evil. A few of them are breaking that mold
Right.
and breaking that. Prince of Persia was one of the most successful.
I like
I
Prince
liked-
of Persia, actually.
yeah.
I love Prince of
But
One-
Jake Gyllenhaal is
a
also
solid
just like
game.
great and everything, and has been since he was young.
He's
Like,
such a weird guy, though. When you
so-
see him in interviews, he's just so awkward, and he
Well-
makes weird comments, and
well,
then
the greatest thing-
touches
There we go.
people
He's
in weird
always
ways.
talking about interviews.
He
Well,
makes
here's the thing.
celebrities uncomfortable.
Here's
Why
the
do I
thing.
care what they're like
Before
outside
South
of their
Park,
movie role?
Uh-huh.
The
That's
director
right.
from South
I
Park
just care
met
about the
him
movie
3
role.
years
Yeah,
prior.
do
to
whatever
doing
you're gonna
Uh-huh.
do.
and said,
you know.
you have some darkness inside of you,
Uh-huh.
and you need to do dark films.
Yeah.
And he started doing.
Brokeback.
He started doing dark films. He did Brokeback. He did Brokeback. He did South Park. He did the one where he was a reporter. And he's doing.
Jake Gyllenhaal was in South Park?
Southpaw.
Oh, Southpaw. Oh, God. I was so confused about where we were going with that.
By the way,
That
contrary to
makes
popular
sense.
belief,
Yeah.
nobody broke their back in Brokeback Mountain. Okay, but let's.
Really?
Wow, you never.
That's
seen it?
not what I
What
heard.
about Brokeback 2 with Selma Hayek and
You can't break it
Penelope
twice.
Cruz?
What?
Was that- didn't you see this movie? They did a sequel.
No, they sure did.
All right, for
Oh wait, no, that was a meme. That was
for closure. All right. So how do you
I
guys
feel like
think
we have
Sonic
not
rated?
cracked this nut at
Yeah,
all.
there's-
Like, in
No,
this,
no,
have
it's-
we
yeah.
gotten down?
This is not a nut
All right,
meant
all
to
right.
be cracked,
One
okay?
thing I wanted to
Brokeback
say,
Mountain
which I
Nuts.
think is obvious, that you guys probably all agree with, the reason we don't see top tier directors tackling video game adaptations is because of the rabid fan base that would just tear them the fuck apart if they made a film that the
In this
fans,
Me Too
the hardcore
era?
fans didn't agree with.
Social
I don't know
justice
about
warriors.
that. Oh yeah, all
Well,
of these
Steven
type
Spielberg
people.
saw the failure in there. He said, "I'm gonna put it all in one film and just see what people think."
Right.
Ready Player
Yeah,
One.
but
I
it's-
mean, that was a great
I liked
movie.
Ready
That's a great
Player
movie,
One though.
yeah.
I was entertained by that.
That was
But
a
it's
great
like
movie.
it's like, can you imagine like some big, Martin Scorsese's like, oh, I'm gonna do an adaptation of like, something or whatever the fuck. Like
He would never.
I went to see.
But if he did, like, who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
that would be crazy. Like, there's like a backlash to it that they just don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's that, and then it's also I think a lot of the directors that we consider great that are old that
Right.
didn't grow up on video games
Yeah.
think video games are stupid and for children, even though the video game industry generates more revenue every year than the music, film,
Yeah.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
But,
industries combined.
Yeah.
Well, let me
like
ask-
it's insane how much money.
Well,
is
to close
made.
out, let me ask you guys each this: what great director to what video game would you want?
Edgar Wright. No, maybe no. This
Think about it for a second.
Okay, I was gonna say
God.
Dennis Villeneuve doing Shadowrun, but I feel like that's.
Oh shit! Yeah, Dennis
yeah.
Villeneuve doing a Mass Effect adaptation
Or
I don't
Dead
know if you guys
Space
ever
or
played
something.
Mass
Oh, wow.
Effect, but
Or Halo.
Aaron?
or Dead Space. Yeah, fuck, I would love.
Well,
to
because
see it.
he I feel like he can kill it on sci-fi.
Although
so
I've
you always
seen-
want to like connect him up with that.
So I was just thinking about this.
But Dead
James
Space would have
James
to be done
Wan.
just right.
Check this out. James Wan for BioShock. because
That's
I feel
great.
like he's
Oh,
got
because
that.
of
He's got
Aquaman.
that. Well, aside from
That's a good
Aquaman,
call.
but and which is impressive because he made an underwater movie.
Yeah.
That's
that
great.
is
It's
a
like
great
really
film.
great movie.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it
but totally
shouldn't be
aside
good,
from that, he's
but
such a
it's good.
great horror director,
Yeah.
and so you need that combination of like the understanding of how to make this underwater city work in film, but then also have it be really really scary. And I feel like he
Right.
could pull that off with the right characters and still make it funny and interesting, and you know what I
It
mean.
might still happen. There's a
My-
new Bioshock
My
game coming out.
my film would be Mel Gibson, Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, but Mel Gibson directing, not starring.
No, not starring.
Okay.
Directing.
no,
was
he
starring
can't be in
because
it.
did
He can't be
He
in
can't
it.
be in anything. It
What
sucks.
do you mean? He's getting Lethal
Lethal
Weapon
Weapon 5, baby!
7.
I can't
Lethal
wait.
Weapon 5.
No, I would like to see him do that.
7. Sonny already
That
did
would be
five.
cool.
He already did it.
Wait,
Already
how
done.
about Edgar Wright, Earthworm Jim?
There you go.
See, I know it, dude.
We're
You're sitting
gonna
there back
end it
in
with
them
that one
16-bit
right there.
Sega Genesis
Yeah,
games.
man.
This guy's like Earthworm Jim.
I need my
Sonic 2,
nostalgia. Like,
Can
I
we just
need-
take a moment?
Altered Beast.
All these other
This
things are
fucking
basically
guy.
movies now.
Deal.
Those things haven't been fleshed out enough. We want to tackle those because you have endless creative space. You try to do one of these new games that are already
Vector
like
Man?
crazy. What was that?
Vector Man. Do you ever play that?
Remember Bubsy?
Oh, yeah.
Neil.
The green.
Neil,
robot
remember
dude or
Bubsy?
whatever?
right,
Bubsy,
guys.
yeah.
Our
fucking
sister-
Bubsy.
Echo the Dolphin.
Our sister would go nuts
Echo,
over Bubsy.
that would be a fun adaptation. Yeah,
That should be a CG movie though.
It should. Well,
You guys
yeah,
should
it
go
would
home
be.
and
They're not
take
going
this
to
out
get
of
real
your system and play
dolphins
video games
anymore.
because the
That's-
podcast
You can
is
make
over.
it like a splash kind of film
Thanks,
where like
Nick.
the dolphin comes on
All
the
right,
land and
all
turns
right,
into
all
a
right.
woman.
That's
All right,
enough.
Nick.
They did
Stop it.
Echo.
Stop it.
Adaptation.
It's called Free
Stop
Willy.
adapting this podcast.
Dolphin,
mouth.
a dolphin's tail.
Okay, thank you.
tail.
Thank you
That's
very
Echo.
much. Shut your mouth. Alrighty then.
Oh.
It's so loud.
All right, guys.
please.
Thank you for joining us here at Get to the Movies. That's Get to the Movies with the number 2. My name is Tiago D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And I'm Aaron Carson.
Oh, thanks for
Oh,
coming,
okay,
Aaron.
what?
Yeah.
I don't
We
know,
have 2 Aarons.
You did.
No.
One Aaron's that I gotta go do an Aaron. Shut him.
I want to kill myself. But also, somebody do the Mortal Kombat song before it ends.
No, it's boop 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 boop.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.